What up? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat. I'm so thrilled today. I'm so excited because joining us today, right after he finished his beat, just finished talking to the Splash Bros, was there for finally the Warriors getting a win on the road since what, January 30th?
January 30th.
Craziness. Is C.J. Holmes from the San Francisco Chronicle. Thank you so much. C.J. is an amazing writer. Y'all should already be following him if you're not following him. And also he's my frat brother. So shout out to him for that. So CJ, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So let's get into it. Let's get into this game. So the Warriors finally got a road win, but you've been with them, right? Like on the road for this trip. And this is the first win. So what, they've lost 2 or 3 on the road now before this game? On this road trip.
Let's see.
I don't mean overall.
Well, yeah, obviously they've lost 11 straight overall, but they lost to LA, they lost to Atlanta, they lost to Memphis. You know, all the days kind of just
they roll together for you, right?
Blend together. But LA, Atlanta, Memphis, and they finally got one tonight here in Houston.
So when you're with them on the road like this, like what, because I know what they get into the post game and say, we hear it, but a lot of it's the same shit we've been hearing all season anyway. So, but you're around them, you get to observe them, you have conversations that we're not privy to. And I'm not asking you to reveal anything off the record, but like, what is the mood that you sort of observe from them? Like when they come to the post game and say that shit, is that real? Or like, are they worried? Are they nervous?
No, it was a pretty upbeat vibe today, and to be completely honest, as someone who's traveled with this team all season long, they're pretty even keeled most of the time, whether they win or lose. There's only been maybe a handful of games where they've come out of it, and you could tell that the mood was a little sour. But I'll tell you what Curry told us in post game. I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but Curry said it feels good. Of course, it feels good, and this is something we're supposed to be doing. Winning games on the road is something we're supposed to be doing. And, it feels good having some extra smiles walking off the court and for, the effort of the night to actually mean something in terms of like winning, right? But, one thing that stood out is Curry said that we're not celebrating anything though, right? Like this is who we're supposed to be. We know we have to play better down the stretch. But, it's good to finally get this losing streak behind them. And now they're hoping that, this could create some momentum and lead to another win Wednesday night in Dallas, and what's setting up to be a pretty high stakes game in terms of seeding.
Okay. I don't want to monopolize. I have a few questions, but Justin, I'm going to let you lob it over to you. So I'm not taking up too much time. I can go on. Yeah, I'm saying you go ahead. I have a few other questions, but I'll get there. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah. What's like, I guess you already said like what's the vibe of the team, but is the coaching staff, I guess, like on the same page as the players? Like, do you get a different vibe from Steve Kerr? Because it just been at varying points of the season just looked like, he's been trying to get them to, do certain things, and it just hasn't been, on the same page as the players. So what's the vibe you get from Kerr?
Like I said, it's pretty even killed across the board between the players and coaches. Obviously after win, players, coaches a little more upbeat. Kerr cracks a couple smiles in post game. And just keeps it light. When you win, it's supposed to be light, right? So I'd say it's pretty even killed across the board. And Kerr was vibing. Kerr was a vibe.
Yeah, I bet he was. I'm not a fan of Kerr. That's sort of a known thing, but I'm not here to bash him today. I'm still annoyed by him the other night talking about them threes at the end of the game. What game was that? Let's talk about those were good shots. When you down 1, I don't want to hear that. So, but how is Steph? Because Jordan fell into him. Then we saw him get on the bike and he was rolling around. So what was his leg? How's he feeling? I'm assuming he's gonna play, but any indication, and like, was he limping or anything like after the game that you could visibly see?
You know, considering the fact that Steph's already missed 20 plus games this season with, you know, 2 separate injuries, anytime that man hits the floor, it's like Warriors fans. If you're quiet enough, you can hear the collective gasp of Warriors fans across the country, hoping he gets up fine. And, you know, about midway through the second quarter there, it looked like another one of those freak accidents. Jordan drives into the paint, gets fouled hard. Steph's just making his way across the baseline. Jordan falls into his leg, and Steph gets up limping, and he's taking his lap around the stadium, grimacing and limping with every step. And you're thinking, oh, here we go again for them. But, Steph came out the game, spent a couple minutes on the bench before he went over to the bike. He wasn't on the bike too long until the Warriors sent out a text and said, Steph is fine. He's going to go back into the game whenever Steve's ready to put him back in. So if there were any questions regarding how Steph was feeling, he pretty much answered them with the way he played in the fourth quarter tonight. 11 points. Klay Thompson added 10 more in the fourth. A vintage Splash Brothers performance down the stretch, willing them back to victory. And although their combined scoring was a huge factor in their fourth quarter run, Steve also credited the combined defensive efforts of, I want to say it was John Kuminga, Draymond Green, Anthony Lamb. Kerr really liked the way they were switching defensively, and that helped stifle any hopes of any type of Houston comeback tonight. But Steph is fine. He made it very clear after the game he was fine. No visible limping, on his way to the press conference room, the locker room. He's good to go and should play Wednesday in Dallas.
Okay. Well, I mean, I expected that. I expected him to play. I know unless it's something like really crazy, he's probably not going to miss any more games because it's, what is it, like 9 games left, and they need him. Mm-hmm. They need wins. So, look, the fan base, we'll take it. We'll take any win, even if it's against the Rockets. But it was still not like, it wasn't like a win that was like so dominant, like the Rockets got back in it. It was close. So maybe this is finally the step in the right direction. I'm not sure. But, I think like Draymond, you tweeted something from Draymond. What did he say? Like, oh, our focus level was pathetic to start the game. I just always wonder when players say stuff like that. It's like, okay, but why is that? Like y'all are the ones on the floor. So if it's pathetic, why was it? Like, well, you're a part of it. So why was their focus level to start like this when they know that they have to win?
That's been the question all season long, even more so on the road. The home away splits of the Golden State Warriors this season are, mind blowing. They're arguably the best team in the NBA at home, but when they go on the road, they're arguably the worst. And that question of focus, from the opening tip through the full 48 minutes is something that hasn't been there consistently all season. It reflects on their road record, reflects in the 11-game losing streak on the road that they just snapped. Why is that the case? Who knows, right? Who knows? None of us writers can seem to figure it out. There's different theories floating around, but there's a lot of things that have held this Warriors team back this season. Focus is one of them. The constant absences and injuries have been another thing. I think Kerr likes to call them stops and starts, right? Every time this team seems to be picking up momentum, it dies somehow, right? They won 5 in a row at Chase Center, entering their last 3-game road trip. They go on the road, lose 3 in a row, right? So the stops and starts have really defined this season for the Warriors. And, at this point, they are what their record says they are, literally. They are what their stats say they are, literally. And, no one in that locker room can figure out why they aren't focused from the jump. Steph can't figure it out. Dre can't figure it out. Klay has no idea. If you ask them, they'll say the same thing. But the point of the matter is they are still in a position to make the playoffs. They are still in position to avoid the play-in tournament with a strong finish. And as long as that focus returns by the time postseason play starts, I think they're confident in that locker room that they'll be in good hands.
Are you confident? Do you think, what do you think is the Warriors' ceiling this year?
That's a good question because they're one of the only teams in the NBA where you could say that they could miss the playoffs altogether or go win a championship, like Steph, Klay, and Dre, that dynastic core is still intact. John Kuminga is playing some of his best basketball here down the stretch. The Warriors could be getting Gary Payton back in the next week or so, because his 10-day reevaluation period's coming up here soon, and you can see Gary walking around the halls of the tunnel. You can tell he's ready to go, and you get Andrew Wiggins back in the fold at some point. There's no confirmation if he'll even be back this season, but you get Andrew Wiggins back in the fold. This team goes into the postseason healthy. They're still the Golden State Warriors at the end of the day. They're still virtually unbeatable at Chase Center. So you definitely don't want to get them in a situation where they can somehow come back and grab home court advantage, at least in the first round. And at the end of the day, this team will go as far as number 30 can take him. And when he can take them, and when he has been healthy and on the court this season, he has been playing some of the best basketball of his career. Klay Thompson's been playing some of the best basketball of his career offensively over the second half of the season. Those factors alone, they're still not a team you want to see come playoff time. A lot of people don't want to hear it, but when you look at the Western Conference, top to bottom, who you're really scared of, right? And again, matching them up against the Warriors in a 7-game series. Denver?
Who's beating them 4 times?
Denver,
that's the question we keep asking on here.
No.
We're like, not anyone in the West. I don't see it in the West if they're healthy.
Just take a look at it. Denver, I'm not sure. Phoenix, do they have enough depth after the KD trades? KD going to be healthy come playoff time? Memphis, who knows what they got going on out there? The Kings, good story, but do they know how to win? They're young. Do they know how to win? The road to the NBA Finals in the West might still go through Golden State, but the Warriors got to get there to make it happen.
So in a potential, first-round matchup, who would you say that you would prefer to see between Sacramento and Memphis? Because, Memphis sure has won one playoff series, but you can ask the same question about them. Do they know how to win, right? Like, They lost to the Warriors last year. They lost to Utah, I believe, 2 years ago. They have one series win under their belt, and that series really they were losing for majority of that series, and they kind of squeaked by.
Justin and I keep trying to answer this question because we differ. So I'm curious to hear what you think. Like, who's the more favorable matchup for the Warriors?
I think whether Memphis knows how to win right now is subjective. I think the real factor when it comes to the Grizzlies is they know the sting of defeat, right? They've lost to this Warriors team. All the trash talk between them, Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green. There's a lot of animosity going on in that. If that is a series, and that's a dangerous series to be in, and the Warriors are 0-2 at FedEx Forum this season, and I think they've lost by a combined 85 points or something in that range over their last 3 trips in that building. Then when you got the Kings, like I said, really good story. I don't want to take away what Mike Brown's been able to do with that team this year, the type of season that, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, all those guys, they've been balling this year, but at the same time, I'm not sure, how many guys on that roster outside of Kevin Huerter and maybe a Harrison Barnes, have been to the postseason, played a significant role, and know how to have success, right? So if you're choosing between those two teams, Sacramento or Memphis, I think the Warriors would want to see Sacramento. They don't have to travel far from home for this series when they go on the road. Warriors fans there's going to be just as many Warriors fans in that arena as there are going to be Kings fans. I think that's the matchup they're going to want to see. I think they're going to want to see that matchup based solely alone on Sacramento's inexperience in playoff situations.
I know if you talk to them, they're going to be like, we don't care who we see. But have they indicated at all? It's looking a little ahead, but have they indicated at all if they have any preference?
They don't care. I can promise you the Warriors do not care who they play in the playoffs. They're just hoping to avoid the play-in tournament, because in the play-in tournament format, anything can happen, and they mess around and get a low seed, they could be going home. So
yeah, they know personally firsthand what that could be like. I want Sacramento too. Like, if they're gonna remain 6, and Justin has convinced me that it's actually better for them to not even try to go for the 4th seed, because it's still a little in reach. But that 6 is basically better than 4, And he's convinced me now, just because of the the potential of the teams that they would play, what side of the bracket they'd be on. So I think I'm okay with them if they don't, get like if they don't guarantee themselves first round in the playoffs. But that's the way I look at it. I'm like the Kings. I'm like that's gonna be like a home series for the Warriors, and they don't have to travel. So that's how I look at it. But also the Grizzlies make me nervous, not because I don't think the Warriors can beat them, but they always injuring people. Dylan Brooks injured Kyrie tonight. And when you think about last year, and the series was just so toxic and unnecessary. I just don't want to see them. I'm over them little nigglets, man. I don't want to see them.
Look, I think the NBA should change the playoff format altogether. Just take the top 16 teams, seed them 1 through 16, regardless of conference, and let them go at it.
I've been saying this for years. Thank you. Finally, someone else has said this. Like, we need new rivalries. We need other. No, I'm not the only. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, we're not the two only people that think this, but like, I've been saying 116 is just going to be way better. Just do away with conferences, keep the divisions. We already do away with conferences in the All-Star game. We might as well just do it in the not in the regular season, in the playoffs, right? And then you just get the 2 best teams overall guaranteed to play them, or at least close to guaranteed to playing each other in the finals instead of just the best West team and the best East team. So. I'm all for that 116 matchup.
So before we move on, I do have like one more question. It's sort of about this game, but just overall, like watching the Warriors over this road trip. Because I think people, and I get it, like it's fair. The road record is abysmal. So I understand like everyone calling the Warriors into question. But I actually think even though they are still ultimately losing the games, I feel like they are actually playing a little better on the road now than they were earlier in this season. So let me first stop there and say, would you agree with that, or do you disagree?
I agree, and Kerr definitely sees it too. It's funny because after the game, he said that ironically, although we won this game, I think this was the worst of the 4 we've played on this current road trip. So they are taking steps. They've been getting off the better starts. They haven't been getting ran out the gym. And
why did he think that? That it was the worst of the 4 that they played.
Well, they had 14 turnovers in the first half, so that'll do it. That'll do it to you. but yeah, they're taking the proper steps, right? And it's good to see that as the regular season winds down. So what their record is on the road, they could win all their remaining road games. They're still going to be far below 500. So at this point, they just want to make that progress on the road. So when you have to go do it for real, come postseason time, they're in much better standings.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I feel like they've been playing better on the road. But something else I've also started to observe is like this chemistry between Jordan and Jonathan Kuminga. Like he had that one play tonight where he like passed it to Kuminga. Like it was brilliant. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was just beautiful. We're watching it in awe. And I'm just wondering because Jordan has had like an up and down season. He's not shooting as well as he did last year from 3. He's kind of, yo-yoed around a little bit in the lineup. He starts, he comes to the bench. He's, and the fan base is really critical of him. They give Jordan a tough time. So I'm curious, like what his mood is like because he was solid tonight. Even though he's not like the story of the game, but I just keep seeing still like these brilliant flashes from him. And I also like what I'm seeing, like I said, between him and Kuminga and also Kuminga's development. How is he feeling? What's his, to the extent that he shares it or he shows anything, what's his like mental state like right now?
I have never seen Jordan Poole in a bad mood. Whether he goes out there and scores 40 or if he scores 12 on like 3 for 18 shooting, right?
Okay.
The biggest thing with Jordan is adjusting to the pressure that comes with, the contract he signed and the attention he's now getting from opposing defenses. One thing Kerr says all the time is, Jordan's not surprising anyone anymore. He's not being overlooked.
Right.
When he's in the game, he's also often drawing another team's best defenders now. And with that comes a certain level of adjustment. Having the ball in his hands as much as he does, comes with a certain level of adjustments, and there's lessons that have to be made. I think one thing that will help Jordan in the immediate future is kind of just slowing down. Not necessarily slowing down, but be more intense with what he does off the dribble. Sometimes he plays with it a little too much, gets himself in trouble, loses it, ends up going the other way. But these are all lessons he's going to learn over time, and he's sitting there watching film every day. We come in the practice or see him before games. He's watching film of Chris DeMarco. So he's intentional about his improvement, and I'm sure I don't know how much of social media stuff he tunes out, but I'm pretty sure he knows how critical the fan base is of him. But above everything else, I think he's most critical with himself. And although his numbers are a little down this season, he's has more volume, right? He's shooting the ball at a higher rate. He's being asked to do more, right? The ball's in his hands more, and he's gonna have to learn. And I think he will. And again, just like everyone else in this roster, the goal is for him to be playing his best basketball come playoff time.
And this is my opinion, I could be wrong, I've never played a lick of basketball before, but does he realize or see that he should be playing like inside out versus outside in? I mean, like the way he was attacking in the other game, right? Like he should do that more, and then work his way into shooting his threes. So I know it's something that like Kerr sort of talks to him about, maybe not exactly like that language, but does he get how important it is for him to attack? Not just because like he's shooting better from two and he's a rim threat, but just how much it helps the team. He's actually also one of the few people who can get fouls outside of Kuminga. Like it's really helpful to the team. Does he get that?
I'm sure he does. I mean, that's like one of the basic principles of basketball, right? When your shot's not going in from outside, you take it to the cup, work inside out. But at the same time, again, like when Jordan's on the court, these opposing teams are now scheming for him. They're packing the paint. They're forcing him to take these outside shots, right? So I'm sure Jordan's aware, but a lot of it at the same time is just taking what the defense gives him. Could identifying those, drive opportunities be a little better? Sure. And he's showed that at numerous points this season that he's aware of it. For him, it's just doing it on a more consistent basis. And, that adjustment will come as he gets more experience in the league.
Okay. Well, just to be clear, I'm a Jordan Poole fan, so I cape for him. I'm not, we don't bash him on this podcast, but he's so important to what they have to do. And I still believe the Warriors can go all the way. I definitely think they can make the finals. I just don't see any of these teams, if they're intact. I don't want to say healthy because Andrew Wiggins, I don't think his health is in question anymore. He's away and we don't know if he's returning. But if they're intact and they have all their bodies, I definitely think that they still can get to the finals. And so, but Jordan performing well is a big part of that. And so I just want him to sort of play a little bit more consistently than he has been. Justin, did you have anything else for?
No, I agree with Jordan. I think him and Kuminga, I tweeted earlier tonight, I think they both provide such like a much needed boost in like athleticism and just quickness and just doing the youthful things that they need, especially against a team like Houston tonight where everybody on the other team is pretty young. So if they can continue to find a way to pressure the rim, especially like I said in transition, but they can also do it in the half court too. But especially in transition, just put a lot of pressure on the rim, draw fouls. That can be, the main thing that they add to this team. And then obviously Kuminga on the defensive end can add some value there as well. But it just opens so much up for the other guys when they're just consistently attacking and just putting pressure on the other teams like rim protectors and guys and stuff like that. So I think that's their path to helping this team going deep in the playoffs or whatever they want to do going forward. That has to be their role.
I have a question. Do you think Andre Iguodala will return for the postseason?
Absolutely not. I think one of my colleagues, Madeline Kinney, was telling me that a wrist injury of that nature usually takes about like 4 to 6 weeks to recover. And, surgery of that nature, his age, and even after the estimated recovery period. And first of all, we don't even know the severity of it, right? But even once he's back, he'll be 2 weeks away because he has to ramp up. So I honestly think that Andre Iguodala's season's over.
Okay.
Which is a big part of why they decided to convert Anthony Lamb from his two-way deal to a standard NBA contract earlier in the week.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you think Lamb would have gotten signed if Andre didn't get injured?
I definitely think it was still a possibility, but Iguodala's injury definitely forced their hand on that front. But they're always going to need a little bit more help on the back end of the roster entering the postseason. But Andre going out, that was a huge blow. I mean, the whole point they brought him back was to limit his usage during the regular season and have him ready for a potential postseason run. But they kind of got to scrap their plans with his injury and kind of make the best of what they have right now.
What are their plans for because Dre, I mean, I know sometimes when it's like teams like the Grizzlies and even tonight, like these younger athletic teams, he sometimes look a little older out there, and he is older, but also, I mean, he's tired. Luna's tired. And they've been doing a lot. I don't see a real rest period for them. Until they have that homestand at the end of the month, that's the only time they get 2 nights off. I mean, Dre was just suspended. And I want to ask about that too, in terms of how the Techs work, but we'll get to that in a second. So he just missed the game for the Techs. So he got sort of a little extra night rest, but do they have any plan to try to get him and Loon some kind of rest? I mean, I don't see where it's possible, but they look tired out there.
Well, I'll say this. Kevon Looney takes pride in, his consecutive regular season games played streak. Only way he's not playing is if he literally can't walk. And he doesn't need rest. Even if he needs rest, he's not going to ask for it. And he's the type of guy that's going to give it all for his team. And that's why he's so beloved, in this organization. What was it? Draymond Green you asked about?
Dre and Loon.
I mean, a couple of nights. I mean, even after game today, Draymond's talking about how his hand's hurting. He's having a lot of issues with his hands and stuff, and he's sore every night. But I think he said after a game, I think it's maybe after the LA game, that it's as long as he can play, he's going to play. And the Warriors aren't in a position where anyone can rest or be out down the stretch. So that's kind of the collective mentality right now in terms of missing time, especially with Andrew out. They're already short-handed enough. These guys are just going to be looking to give it their all down the stretch and, see where their cards lie, see where the, cards fall. Is that even a saying, cards fall? See where the – where is it?
Yeah, whatever. We know it's late. Y'all, it's late. It's almost 1:00 in the morning here on the East Coast. That's why Justin looking like he's high, but he's not high. And we tired though. And CJ is working. He's been traveling. He's working, and he's over in Houston. So y'all gotta forgive us sometimes if we mess up a little bit. I'm sorry, Justin. Did you have something though?
No. I mean, Dre and Loon, we already said, look super. I don't want to say exhausted, but for lack of a better term, they've put it all on the line for this team this season. I mean, Dre's played more games than I expected him to play, to be honest. It's been kind of like a miracle up to this point where he hasn't been injured to the point where he's missing a lot of games, especially with the back stuff that he had last year. So I guess it's just, hope for the best with them going forward. They just assigned PBJ back to Santa Cruz, if I'm correct. So I would hope to see him a little bit more, but I don't think he's in their postseason plans as it looks. They got 9 games left at this point. So it's gonna be a lot of Lamb, a lot of Kuminga, and small ball going forward.
A lot of Lamb.
She don't like
anyway.
Yeah, she don't like that. A lot of Lamb.
Anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on. Okay. So when you look around the league, I mean, we sort of talked about like the Western Conference already. So when you look around the league, what are the teams, if the Warriors are intact, let's assume they're intact and Andrew Wiggins comes back, who are the teams that you think really could be a threat to them?
Hold that thought. And I got to see the full range. Let's see. Well, obviously, I think the Grizzlies, just because of all the emotion in those meetings between those two teams, their athleticism, their youth, a year more experienced in terms of postseason play. I think they can be a credible threat. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant. Obviously, KD just sat here and watched his old team win a championship last year, while his next super team experience blew up with the Nets. So, he would obviously come into that potential series with a chip on his shoulder. And if healthy, that Suns team is super dangerous for that starting five of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, KD, and who cares who else fills out that roster.
Right.
I think with the absence of Andrew Wiggins, the uncertainty of when Gary Payton II will be back into the fold, I think the Clippers might be a difficult matchup just because of the wings, the dual wings and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I think that could be tough. And, obviously Dallas, Kyrie and Luka, if they're able to figure things out and, make the postseason. We see every single night. It feels like just how difficult Luka is, and he single-handedly sent the Suns home last year. And who's to say he can do the same to the Warriors this year if they meet up?
I say he can't do the same thing to the Warriors. What about in the East? Let's assume they make it out the West. What about in the East?
The biggest thing is the Bucks. I feel like the Bucks are the biggest team. I would say the Bucks simply because it seems like whenever the Warriors and the Celtics meet up, it's like I think the Warriors rise for that game. They have their number. They just played them in the finals last year, and they know how to. That's a team they know how to match up with. But that Bucks team, Giannis, their size, length. It's just a tough draw for them, and considering the fact that their tallest player is a 6'9" Kevon Looney, I just think I might not end too well.
Okay. I won't push you on that one tonight, CJ. I won't push you on that one tonight. But we're gonna have you back on, and then we can talk a little bit more. I'm curious, who is your pick for MVP?
Season ended today. I think I gotta go with Giannis, man. Best player on the best team in the league right now. I think what Jokic is doing with all of his triple doubles is very impressive. But I guess if I had to choose between those two, I think I'm gonna pick Giannis just for the sense of parity. I don't want to see anybody win three straight MVPs. Especially if they win 3 straight MVPs and don't have no ring.
What? I don't understand why people act like I'm crazy when I say this. My God.
and that's no knock against Jokic. He's a fantastic player, one of the best you've ever seen. But
sure.
nobody needs to be going 3 straight MVPs and no rings, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy talk. So, but you would still have it sounds like Jokic over Embiid.
If I were to do like a top 4 in my rankings, I would say Giannis 1, Jokic 2, Embiid 3. 4, I don't know.
Sabonis.
De'Aaron Fox. I'm playing. No, don't play.
Nah, we don't even need to know that theory. He's gonna get Clutch Player of the Year, though, right? That sounds like a new award.
Yeah, I think that won't even be close. Dude's been electric when the game's on the line this year.
Yeah, for sure. CJ, I really appreciate you coming on and joining us. Oh, Justin, did you have anything else? 'Cause I'm just about to like wrap him, and I didn't check with you to see if you want to ask me anything else.
No. We all good. We both appreciate you coming on, sharing the insight. The inside scoop.
I'm gonna
Hey,
see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying I appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me. It's time to hit them sheets.
Yeah, we need you to come back when it's a little bit like earlier and it's not too late, and we can just like chop it up a little bit. Help us do a preview for the playoffs, because the Warriors are going to the playoffs. They will be a top 6 seed. They're going to make history again, like the Houston Rockets. So I just called it right now. Okay, just so you know. So we need you to come back, but I'm gonna see you soon.
I got y'all. Bullshit.
So thank you. Yeah, for real though. Thank you so much for coming on. Have safe travels. I know you got another game on this road trip. Get some rest. CJ's out here doing great work, but seriously, he's a tremendous writer. I love reading your work. I love reading good writing. He knows his shit. Used to play. I mean, come on. Like, what more do you need to
DC
know?
native.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that part too. I mean, being from New York is better, but whatever.
We'll debate that next time.
Right.
Hey, y'all, my ride's outside, so I got to slide. But thank you for having me.
Right. Have a good night.
I'll see you guys.
Peace.
All right. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. I'm exhausted. I'm really sleepy. Are you sleepy?
You can see it in my face.
I know.
I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but yeah, definitely. But it is what it is. It's the grind, playoffs about to start. It's no
time off for anyone, not even us who cover the team, right?
Exactly.
Good win tonight, though. We take it, right? We take it.
We take it. It was an ugly win, but we take it. And they covered the spread, even though I didn't bet on them.
Well, because we have rules around that, don't we, Justin?
Nah. We got to, as a community, have to get Nat on, like, at least up to speed with the betting terms and like what all this stuff means.
We do.
Me and Greg, we talk about the betting terms, and that's like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
I don't want to know. Gambling just will take me down a road of like craziness. I see all of y'all about your parlays and going crazy. So I don't want no parts of that. It's like why I never did fantasy. Like, I know the things that would make me crazy, so I just don't do it.
Yeah, you just got to develop a list of teams and players that you would never bet on. And then, boom, you good.
I'm not listening. I will not become a gambler, because when all of you turn into addicts, well, I'm not trying to save everyone, but I will be here for you, Justin.
I don't got enough money to be a gambler addict.
Okay, well, I'm not converting, so but we have rules around how you bet, right? For purposes of like our team, right, Justin?
Yeah, at this point, I will not bet on a team that we need to lose. I will not bet for a team to win that we need to lose. Right. That's that. Even if I expect them to win, I would not bet on them to win.
Okay.
So there we go. That's the only rule. Right?
I mean, as long as you're not doing anything to jinx us. You don't seem sure of that. Are you confident about that?
Yeah, in the playoffs, I never.
You also be betting for other teams to win who we need to lose, and I don't appreciate that.
That's what I'm saying. I won't do that no more. I don't do that anymore.
When did that stop?
Like months ago.
Okay. Don't be lying to me, Justin.
That's funny. I'm dead ass serious. I'm dead serious.
We didn't give a rating on the vibe scale. Let's do that before we go. Where are we tonight?
Vibes. We had a good 7.
Damn, just a 7, yo? Is that because it's late, or is it because we just not gonna rate a win over Houston?
It's the Houston win, and it wasn't like a 30-point blowout, which it should have been, but it's cool. A win is a win is a win, so we had a 7.
Okay. Hopefully I was mellow enough tonight for the audience because they were very critical of me on the last episode. The YouTube audience was, but if they were feeling that, maybe the pod audience was too. They said I talk too much. I monopolized the conversation. That's why I'm like, Justin, ask some questions. He was leaving me out there because he's sleepy though, so we give him a pass.
I'm so used to answering the questions. That's why I didn't have any questions to ask.
So now they're gonna watch this one again and be like, see, she likes to just talk. That's what they're gonna say about me now because of you. So you set me up to look bad again.
It's a podcast, so we're gonna talk on here, you know.
But we both supposed to talk, not just me.
You right.
Yeah, see, we did it like barbershop style last conversation. It was just like, you know, and it was three. It was three against
it was
one.
fine.
You listened?
Yeah, of course I did.
Oh, thank you. I mean, look, it was 90 minutes. You know, you may not have time. I wouldn't have been mad.
Come on now.
They said I was being mad, mean to Chris, and one of them was like, I would prefer if the other girl and Chris host and just ask her questions.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I'm sorry to tell you that's not going to happen because I'm the host and they are my guests, not the other way around. Right. But then the person and we made up and made friends in the comments.
Yeah. Of course you like responded to them directly.
I responded to mad people directly because they were just like going in on me. So I guess I was a little triggered, but also I realized, and we should probably like introduce ourselves formally to the YouTube audience because they are already dialed into 95.7 The Game, but they may not know us like the way our audio audience does. So not right now because we're leaving, but we're Justin and Nat, as we said at the beginning. But we will give you guys a formal introduction so you know who we are. We're not just some like crazy random two people who started covering, you know, the Warriors. The pod has been ongoing for a while. We've just recently come on the 95.7 The Game's channel, so on YouTube. So, but thank you for giving us a try. So, like I said, hopefully tonight they see more what we're about. And I was mellow enough, and you know, I tried to let Justin talk, but he, you know, so that wasn't on me. Tell him, Justin, tell him, so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah, I was just, you know, it's late. It's late over here.
It is late. But it was still a good discussion. So shout out again to CJ for joining us. Appreciate him. And happy to have you back though, Justin, because I did miss you.
I missed you too. You know, we keep the vibes going. We might go to a 7.5 now.
Yeah.
We bumping it up to 7.5 now. You know.
Luka coming back for that next game?
Probably. Kyrie's gonna mysteriously be healthy again, 100%.
Like I don't wish injury on nobody.
We're not gonna jinx that.
Yeah, I don't. But it's just like Shea came back for the game against us. Like everybody always want to come back. This is why I was saying, Chris, I don't believe this. Teams don't fare us shit because they all get up. They may not fare us, but they certainly get up to play us, and they lock in and they dial in. Like,
right. That is a form of fear. It's like if I'm not on my A game, we're gonna get smacked, and that's how every team approaches their game. Yeah,
I'm like they still treat them like they the champs, Chris. So you telling me teams don't fare us, but I just don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
Their actions show me otherwise. All right. Well, you get some rest, Justin. We'll be back here when? What, Wednesday? Jesus.
Wednesday night.
The schedule is killer. It's killer. Every other night.
Every other night.
Oh, Jesus.
Rate 5 stars. Share. Subscribe.
Yes!
Subscribe on every platform. Because this is crazy. All right.
We out here working. We out here being real Jamaicans, putting out this content. We working hard. We got more than one job.
Exactly. Exactly. Real Jamaican. We both got like 3-4 jobs.
Y'all got Justin like telling y'all what to do right now. So you know.
Hey. Come on now.
All right, y'all. Until next time. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.